the Evangelist. I brought down Gabriel's gang and handed them shovels. There they were before me, heaven's epoxy, resting on their silver and white wings. I called them to order. They bleated and cowered. Some sang beautifully, wonderfully, and far beyond their glutted rhapsody, evensong became the deep death squeal of disemboweled livestock. I called them to order again, continuously trilling. They lined up for roll call. Some answered with a weak "here" or a high-pitched "present," or the sad nod of a majestic head. Many responded with the shedding of a cold silk tear. As if it were their last supper, Gabriel began to sing and to sup on the remnants of the unglued, disintegrating clouds. I demanded he stop chewing. He stopped chewing on his gluey, chewy heaven. I demanded that he spit and shut up. I handed them their shovels one by one, and one by one they let them drop. I picked them up, wondering of the strength of their grip, and explained quietly to them of the potentially calloused hide that lay beneath their small, milky palms. I lectured that the shovel in the ditch would give them pleasure and power and strength of heart altogether unknown. Again, I gave them their picks and shovels, and they put them at their sides, Gabriel groaning, but groaning musically. "Now shoulder arms," I ordered, like this. And I punched a huge gap in the bank of a worm-infested trench. They shuddered. Their cell phone wings flapped, and up then down, each one rising and sinking, such ghostly, pretty faces, frowning that I began to cry. "Stop!" I tearfully commanded. "Back on the earth and out of the air," I demanded. "Now push, like this." And I lifted another shovelful of uncovering the mixture of brown bones. Gabriel shrieked. The rest sickened and feigning, shrilling. Gabriel whipped the air with frantic wings, not to fly, but to revive this fallen clutch of snowy cowards. "Up," I ordered. "Get back up and dig." Upon rising, they claimed they couldn't lift their shovels. So I beat them lightly with a cotton rope, and they cried, and I cried. But they lifted their shovels, and from under their uncaressed arms, such perfume deflowered my intentions. They dug all day, only stopping to sob, sometimes still attempting to lift away into the salvation of the sky, only the sheer weight of their new coat of filth keeping them down. Some of the mud and the dust of the broken bones fell upon their silver feet, soiled their blond cheeks. Hourly their whiteness dulled. They worked, fueled by the newly acquired taste for misery and the menace of my soft floggings. They sweated, and droplets fell, and glistening like large pearls rolled down the incline into my well-placed buckets. They scraped at the earth all day, and into the early night their stained and splotched wings drooped, and their dusty white chins sagged. Bored with the frazzle of their sweat-soaked wings, bloated with the wealth of their perspiration, I held my breath against this everlasting reek of bliss, and I examined the ditch. Happy with the size and depth, I ordered them to stop. Clammy, blue-faced Gabriel collapsed where he stood, a bruised icicle slightly piercing the earth. His clan tumbled down upon him, and a cherubic glacier formed, chiseled into the shape of the ideal firmament by their own aching hands. The sphere became a wobbling infatuation with the velocity of its own increasing spin. It steered away from the ditch and lifted back up toward the chalk of its own fractured orbit. I poured scorched earth on such ice. The globe instantly shattered, melting back into impotent individuals, unhuddled and hopeless. I cussed at them, but they didn't understand. Then I laughed and wiped the snow dust off Gabriel's bleached face. "Now in," I commanded. "Get in," I screamed. "Get in the ditch." Unforced, almost willingly, unbelievably, they climbed in gently. I waved goodbye to them. They giggled and snickered, crying and laughing. I waved goodbye to them, crying and laughing. I shouted loud goodbyes to them, except for Gabriel, who stood quietly by the trench. I approached him, cotton whip raised. Instantly hovering, he bent his sparkling, star-battered head and kissed me slightly on the mouth. And I knew from this ethereal, untroubled breath, this was not a peck of forgiving grace, but only the disclosure of the insipidity of the space between us and the kiss itself.